Alright, welcome to part 2 of me showing you how to cheat on your homework. Today we're going to be showing you how to, bypass these timers. Now this is a really short timer, so let me actually show you on a normal timer how you would bypass it. You don't really need to bypass it because, you know, we're going to be kind of getting the answers anyway, but let's say for instance you did have a timer and you didn't want to wait for it. What you would do is you right click on that timer, you go to inspect. That's going to open your little inspect window here, and make sure you're on elements at the top. You should automatically be there. Now you're going to see it counting down because it's automatically going to find the area on the page that you right clicked on before you hit inspect. So it's going to be right here. Now a couple lines below that you're going to see this button training class thing, and you can see hidden. You want to double click on hidden and just hit backspace, enter. Once you do that, it's going to unhide the button, and then you can take the quiz. This is the general computer components, so you can see that was on the list of things I needed to do. So it does actually complete the article, and then if I open a new tab, you can see that that's not there anymore. The general computer components test has been completed, so you don't have to worry about the timer at all. Now let's look at this one, because this is going to have more questions on it. It'll be a better example of what we're going to do. So we didn't have to bypass the timer, but we're still going to open that inspect menu. So right click pretty much anywhere on the page. Usually you'd be clicking on the timer, but you know, this one doesn't have one. Now you're going to need to click on network. Once you click on network, you're probably going to be here on all. We're going to move to XHR. I don't know what that means, so you know, I have no idea what that means, but what I do know is that it's going to give you the answers. So you're going to look, and if you look at the URL when you're reading any article, it's going to have 4 numbers to kind of, you know, notate what article it is. So if you were to change one of these numbers, you'd end up on a random article. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit refresh. Make sure that you're on the network tab and XHR is highlighted. You hit refresh, and you're going to notice it populate with all kinds of, you know, different stuff here. You don't need to worry about any of this as far as I know. What you do want to find is this file here, which is going to be 4 numbers, and that's going to match up on your URL for the article that you're reading. Now when you click on that, I don't know if this is the default, but you're going to click on response, and then once you do that, you're going to notice that this is a huge amount of data, kind of all on one line. Now obviously this is not a good way of reading this, so what I do is I triple click and then copy it. You can also, I don't even know if you can right click here. If you triple click any of this, it'll highlight all of it, and you can right click it and copy it. Now one thing you're going to need is a way to format this, because if you try to look at it in, you know, Notepad, you can turn word wrap on, but it's not going to be perfect. You know, this is actually more readable than I would expect, but we're not going to use Notepad. I don't recommend it, at least. You can. I recommend some kind of text editor like Visual Studio Code. What I do is I paste everything into that, and then I'm going to turn on word wrap so I can kind of see what's going on. Okay, now once I'm here, there's something I'm looking for. I'm looking for correct answer ID. Once you find one of those, you're good to go, but here we go. So you're going to want to find this. Now you'll notice there's a bunch of them. It also kind of dimly highlights all the other correct answer IDs. What we're going to do is we're going to copy correct answer ID, and we're going to hit Control F. Now then what you can do is you can just, you know, type in or paste correct answer ID and click on this little arrow to replace. Now what we're going to do is we're going to replace it with the same exact thing, but if you move your cursor to the very beginning and hold Control and hit Enter twice, then you can click this button to replace all, and now you have a reasonably formatted, you know, list of answers here. So I'm going to move this to one side and have the quiz over here on the other. Now number 1, I'm going to close my inspect window here because you don't need it. If you have one monitor, this is kind of the way to go. You have your document right over here, and then you have the test on the left. Now you hit take quiz, and it's going to ask you a question, of course, and you're going to have your multiple choice. Now here's how you do it. You're going to highlight the entire question. You're going to go back over here to your document. You're going to Control F, and you're going to look for that. You're going to type, or you're going to paste in that question, and then it's going to find it right here. Now what the portal does is it gives you the same quiz. Everybody takes the same quiz, but it'll pick from a randomly generated list of like 4 different types of that same quiz where the questions come in different order. I don't know why they do that. It's some like low effort way to try to stop cheating, but either way, once you search for it, you'll find it, okay? And the reason why I picked correct answer ID, because now it's at the very beginning, so you're going to kind of double click on that, and it's going to show you the other the correct answer IDs of 1336. Now there's 4 answers per question. Every one of those answers has its own answer ID. Now these questions each individually have their own correct answer ID. So once you find the question that you're trying to answer, highlight the correct answer ID, which in this case is 1336, and you're going to want to look for that. Now we can see it right here, right? 1336, it's going to say active true. This you want to ignore, the first instance of that correct answer ID. All this is doing is saying, hey, this is, a visible answer that somebody can click on. They're all going to say that. Every other answer is going to have that. But what they're not all going to have is this right here. So after the initial 1336, there's one more. And then it's going to say, here's your answer. Here's the correct answer would be the immediately following the 1336. We have apologized to the customer for not being able to complete the repair, blah, blah, blah. Boom. We know it's that one. Okay, so once you kind of get that down, you can then apply it to every quiz, with every question. We're going to do the same thing. So we answered. You're going to hit next. You're going to copy the question. You go back to your little Control F window here. You're going to paste in the question, and you're going to find it. Now here we have 1346. That's our correct answer ID. We see the first instance. We're going to skip that, go to the second instance. And it says 1, 2, and 3 in that order. We look over here. Boom. That's one of the possible answers. We click on that. And so on and so forth. We're going to continue searching for these and finding the proper answer. Now, okay, this is important. It's not really important, but there's something that sometimes happens here is the formatting that they use to get it, in HTML format sometimes gets kind of messed up. So if you ever see no results when you try to search for something, I would delete until you do get a result. Now the reason why that wasn't showing it is because the / that you're seeing right here between Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL, you can't just type that in an HTML document. It'll mess up your formatting, so they have to put a / before it as an escape character. Either way, here's the answer, here's the question, we found it. Correct answer ID, 1187. We see the first, we're going to go to the second instance, and the answer here is passcode. Boom, we click on that. Now I'm going to go through this and probably speed it up, and then I'll show you at the end of it that these answers are correct. Again, here's an example of that / kind of messing up the formatting. So again, if you ever see that, just hit backspace until you find it. Correct answer ID 350. Right here, the answer is true. Now this is a true or false, so it's not going to be as large. Compare this to the previous, let's say the next question, because this is probably going to have 4 possible answers. This one's a little bit smaller. It doesn't matter, works the same way. You find the correct answer ID. Be careful, because if it's true or false, you can get mixed up and see this and assume the answer is actually true, whereas it's, remember, the second instance of your correct answer ID, which in this case would be here. And if you look here, it's got true. It's in capitals. It's a little bit different. Now this could have said false, but this would have still said true. So just make sure you're looking at the right one. In this case, it's going to be true. So I'll go through the rest of this. I'll speed it up and then show you guys at the end of it that this does indeed have the proper answers, and you can get pretty fast at it with a little bit of practice, and it's a lot faster than looking at a cheat sheet or trying to make an Excel sheet of all the answers in an attempt to try to just go to work without being pestered by the portal. Either way, I'll see you guys in like 1 minute or 1 second. Here's another weird kind of thing maybe to look out for. This is in all caps right here, and for some reason that led to this monstrosity existing in this file. Like I said, I did the same thing. I just copied everything. And then no results. I just kind of held backspace until I saw a result pop up. So just another example of this document being a little bit weird. There's kind of a lot of gibberish in here, but hold backspace long enough and you'll probably find the question. Okay, and here's an example of a true or false question where the answer is actually false. You're going to find your question right here, and you're going to look for the correct answer ID. And you might look and say, oh, here we go, true. Right after 351, just remember always that it's the second instance, because here it says true here, but that's only saying that it's an active question, whereas further down the line, you're going to see the actual answer. Just something to keep in mind. Okay, moment of truth. I got them all right, because I cheated. But that's kind of the point, so there you go. Now, of course, that's going to count, because as far as the website knows, you just did the quiz normally. So, I mean, the whole timer skip thing, here's a proof of concept. I mean, it works with the launch content window thing too, but that doesn't really matter because, this will go away right when you click on that. But if you do have a timer and it's a stupid, like, 15-minute timer, just remember you right-click on it, on the timer, go to inspect, and then, down here it'll say hidden somewhere. So either way, there you go. I don't know if this is, a good thing that we're going to have all the answers, but it's kind of a necessity when it comes to trying to, save a little bit of time, because some of these can take, quite a bit of time. I don't have that many right now, but either way, enjoy your new cheat codes. Have a good night.